Londres.
What comes into your mind when I say the word Africa? I'm guessing images of poverty, of civil wars, of famine. That's how we generally see that continent portrayed on our screens, either through disaster relief appeals or through bad news stories. Actually, throughout this century, Africa has been clocking up a respectable 5 or 6% growth on average. It's patchy, of course. Some countries are doing better than others, but the overall picture is a million miles away from our general perceptions. Life expectancy has increased by more than 10 years since the late 1990s. Literacy has gone up from 53% to 65%, among young people over 90%. And what was the agent of change? Having scraped along at the bottom for decades in absolute and relative poverty, what is it that in the late 90s suddenly caused this uptick? Well, the chances are you're holding the answer in your hands. It was the development of mobile phones. Suddenly, trade networks were facilitated. A farmer, for example, could use a handheld device to check the weather, to see where he could buy cheaper seed, to see where his best markets were. Now here's the part that some people find tricky. Those mobile phone companies were motivated unapologetically by profit. They succeeded where decades of state aid and development assistance had failed simply because they were trying to make the best return for their investors. Anticapitalists call it greed, and they find the whole thing sordid. If they're being honest, I think they would rather have continuing poverty with charity than enterprise and wealth. But I very much doubt that that's how it's seen in Africa. And this brings us to the real paradox of capitalism. A lot of people who oppose the free market will concede that it's efficient, but they find it somehow sordid. They think that, yes, okay, it may increase people's wealth, but what a soulless kind of mechanism. It doesn't bring out people's generosity, people's links to each other. What could be further from the truth? Capitalism is a system that draws people together into networks of mutual dependency. When we translate that 5 to 6% growth into real human stories, it means that people can afford plumbing and bicycles and clean drinking water and vaccines and the things that we in the West take for granted. The silliest idea is that capitalism atomizes people, that it makes us more selfish. In fact, there is no system better devised for drawing people together. Now, morality, that's a personal thing. Neither capitalism nor socialism nor any other system is intrinsically ethical. It's a matrix within which people can behave greedily or unselfishly according to their nature. But if we regard the elimination of poverty, the end of kleptocracy, the spreading of opportunity as intrinsically good ambitions, then you find me a juster system than the free market.